Greetings, legendary readers. Welcome to Larry's Legendary Library, where I like to explore science fiction, fantasy, and other bits and bobs. Today, for Magazine Monday, I am going to do magazine mail, and I'm going to unbox an order from an estate sale that I had shipped. And I know, some of the titles, but the images didn't show the front. All I could see was the edges. So I do know there's some in here that I may already have, but there's certainly some that I don't. So let's jump in and see exactly what we got. Science fiction. Got Jack McDevitt, who I do have some of his books. This one looks like it's a nice clean copy. Unfortunately, the labels are on there. Those can take some work. I use a hair dryer, which does help, but we shall see how that goes. February 1988, Isaac Asimov's science fiction. Oh, Niemand, Put Your Hands Together, Bruce McAllister, Harry Turtledove, Neil Barrett. Looks like an alien conductor here on the cover. Another Asimov's, June 1987. James Patrick Kelly, Charles Sheffield, Orson Scott Card, Jane Yolen. Okay, Lucas Shepard, The Sun Spider, Harry Turtledove, Pat Murphy. This is from April 1987. March 1987, Asimov's Orson Scott Card, a name that's covered and I can't read, and a Harry Turtledove. Anyway, The Haunt of Horror. It's got a Fritz Leiber, a Harlan Ellison, Ramsey Campbell, R.A. Lafferty, Robert E. Howard, Dennis O'Neil. Worlds Beyond, Six-Legged Svengali by Mac Reynolds and Frederick Brown. I have read a Frederick Brown. It was pretty good. Graham Greene, Philip Wiley, Jack Vance, C.M. Kornbluth. December 1950. Then here on the cover, it's got like a, I don't know if that's supposed to be a bookmark that's stuck to it. Is Your Neighbor a Flying Saucer Man? So there's the, but yeah, it's got a little note in it. It's got some names, looks like names of people that are authors that are in the book. But I am loving that condition. December 1950, 12 years before I was born. Awesome. The Haunt of Horror, Devil Knight by Dennis O'Neil, Ron Goulart, Anne McCaffrey, Lynn Carter, John Diomede, Fritz Leiber, Arthur Bryan, Byron cover. August 1973. Fantastic science fiction, The Mummy Takes a Wife by Clyde Mitchell. A mad mixture of mummies, maids, and mayhem. Let's see, we got a date here, December 1956. So this one is got some issues with condition, but still, it's nice to have one of these old guys. Worlds Beyond, I do not have this. Tree of Wrath by John Christopher. Survivalship by Judith Merrill. January 1951. I tried to estimate the count of how many magazines there were before I bid, and I believe there were about close to 100, 90 maybe. Anyway, I figure I spent somewhere around 44 cents a piece on these, so I'm pleased with that. Worlds Beyond, February 1951, Brain of the Galaxy by Jack Vance. The Deadliest Female by Lester Del Rey. Beyond Fantasy Fiction, No More Stars by Charles Satterfield, July 1954. Let's see what else is in here. Evelyn Smith, Roy Hutchins, Theodore Cogswell, H. Chandler Elliott, Winston Marks, and George Heyman. Beyond Fantasy Fiction, edited by H.L. Gold, September 1954. Let's see. James E. Gunn, Sam Merwin Jr., Wyman Gwynn, Franklin Gregory, Manley Bannister, Frederick Brown, Robert Bain, Ralph Spencer. Cover by Cruz. Another Beyond Fiction, number 9. Let's see, what was that other? Well, it has the date, not a number. I'll have to check that. The Green Magician by L. Sprague de Camp and Fletcher Pratt. That looks like from Hercules, the Disney movie. Also has Philip K. Dick, Upon the Dull Earth, G.D. Williams, Robert Richard, and Jean M. Janis. So let me just double check and see if they have the date in here. Well, it just says volume 2, number 3. I'll have to look that up. Beyond Fiction, number 10. Stream of Consciousness by Roy Hutchins, Sizzle Stick, Sam Merwin Jr., Age Cannot Wither, Cleve Cartmill, Dragon Lady by Evelyn E. Smith, The Paynim's Flute, Ralph Spencer, E.B. Battles, D.V. Gilder. So, Isaac Asimov's mid-December 1987, Harold Waldrop, Isaac Asimov, George Alec Effinger, thrilling conclusion of Harlan Ellison's I, Robot the movie. Asimov's December 1987, Jack McDivitt, To Hell with the Stars, Harlan Ellison, Connie Willis, Ben Bova, Lucius Shepard. May, June 1978, Isaac Asimov's. It's got a old looking cover, older than the 70s looking. George Alec Effinger, Martin Gardner, Jesse Bone, James Gunn, Sharon N. Farber, F. Paul Wilson, and others. Beyond Fantasy Fiction, May 1954. Another one that looks to be in really good shape. James E. Gunn, A.J. Greenwald, Richard Deming, R. Bretner, Stuart Kaiser, and Winston Marks. Another Beyond Fantasy Fiction, September 1953. Theodore R. Cogswell, Robert Bloch, Philip K. Dick, Joseph Shallett, Jerome Bixby, Theodore Sturgeon, M.C. Peace, John Wyndham, Joe L. Hensley, and Isaac Asimov, and Margaret St. Clair. July 1953, Theodore Sturgeon, Damon Knight, T.L. Sherrod, Jerome Bixby, Joe E. Dean, Richard Matheson, Roger D., Frank M. Robinson, James McDonnell. I am glad to get all these Beyonds. These are new to me. November 1953, Beyond. Wyman Gwynn, Boyd Ellenby, Richard Deming, Algis Budrys, Franklin Gregory, Zena Henderson, Richard Matheson, Ted Reynolds. Okay. January 1954, Evelyn E. Smith, Jerome Bixby, William Morrison, and others. Beyond fantasy fiction, March 1954, The God Business by Philip Jose Farmer, Gone Witch by Roy Hutchins, and Isaac Asimov's October 1987, Kim Stanley Robinson, Jack Dan, Bruce Sterling, Bruce McAllister, Ian Watson. Okay, some more Asimov's, mid-December 1986. The labels covering the names. Michael Swanwick, Lucius Shepard, Pat Murphy, Gregory Feely, Isaac Asimov, Gregory Benford, Harlan Ellison. I just did a Gregory Benford story and an Amazing Stories issue for last Magazine Monday. If you're interested in that review, you can check it out. May 1986, Asimov's James Tiptree Jr., Connie Willis, Ari Lafferty, Richard Paul Russo, Brian Aldiss, and others. Yeah, I'm going to have to work on these stickers, these labels. September 1986. Some of these I do feel like will be duplicates for what's already in my collection. Kim Stanley Robinson, George R.R. Martin, Andrew Weiner, Sally Darnowski, Avram Davidson, Nancy Kress, Bill Crenshaw. May 1987, Bruce Sterling, Pat Cadigan, Frederick Pohl, Neil Barrett Jr., Nancy Kress. February 1987, Michael Swanwick, M.J. Ing, Jack McDevitt, Isaac Asimov, Sherry Wilkerson, James P. Blaylock, Joe Haldeman. Let's see, August 1991, The Lost Colony of Pern by Anne McCaffrey, Lois McMaster Bujold, Stephen L. Gillette, or Gillett, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. What is this? Science fiction by Asimov. Edited by Sheila Williams. Looks like just a series of stories. More Things in Heaven and Earth, Rejection Slips, Death of a Foy, Dashing Through the Snow, Potential, Eyes Do More Than See, and The Dim Rumble. Copyright. These are copyrighted. They're showing some copyrighted in the 80s, so this must be obviously newer than 1986. Amazing Science Fiction Stories, September 1970. Philip Jose Farmer, Christopher Anvil, Bill Pronzini, Pierce Anthony. This one's looking a little worn. Avon Science Fiction and Fantasy Reader. Arthur C. Clarke, John Jakes, Alfred J. Koppel Jr., John Christopher, Milton Lesser, and other stories. And, Volume 1, Number 1, January 1953. I'm not familiar with this magazine title, so I'll have to research it. Another Avon, April 1953, Volume 1, Number 2, Milton Lesser, Arthur C. Clarke, John Christopher, John Jakes, Jack Vance, and other stories. Isaac Asimov, science fiction, November, December 1978. Jack Williamson, Jack Gogan, Martin Gardner. Isaac Asimov's, looks like late 70s. I'll just show the covers on these in the interest of time. From 88, 87, and 1983. This one I've not heard of, a new kind of fiction, Dream World, Stories of Incredible Powers, Ways to Get a Gal, a brand new story by P.G. Wodehouse. The Man with X-Ray Eyes, All Secrets Were Revealed to Him. Sex, Love, and Mr. Owen by Thorne Smith. February 1957. There's a Harlan Ellison in here and others. Another Dream World, C.H. Thames. This one is May 1957. C.H. Thomas, Randall Garrett, and others. Science fiction, If. It says February. What year is this? The cover says Pipe Dream by Fritz Leiber. February 1959. These are older than the ones I have. Worlds of If, science fiction, June 1956. James Newting, Harlan Ellison. Z by Charles L. Fontenay. Paul Anderson. October 1955. The Almost Men, Irving E. Cox, Alan E. Norse, Robert F. Young, Arthur Sellings. February 1958, Galaxy science fiction, Fritz Leiber, H. Beam Piper, Lloyd Beagle Jr., Wiley Lay. Galaxy 1954 from May, Granny Won't Knit by Theodore Sturgeon. Fantastic Universe science fiction, new to me, February 1955. James E. Gunn, Robert Moore Williams, Charles E. Fritsch, Robert Sheckley, and others. All stories in this issue are brand new. Star Science Fiction, edited by Frederick Pohl. January 1958. This one's taped and the cover's loose. Chan Davis, John Sentry, Paul Anderson, Isaac Asimov, and others. Well, I will have a ton of material for future Magazine Monday videos. Fantasy Stories. Flying Saucer Secrets, blabbed by Mad Pilot. Let's see, Major Vernon Piper, Irvin S. Cobb, Theodore Roscoe, and others. 1950. Fantasy Fiction, 1950. Cornell Woolrich, Robert Arthur, Richard Sale. Another fantasy fiction, August 1953, John Wyndham, Philip K. Dick, Howard Fritch, Fye, and Elliott. November 1953, Harry Harrison and McLean, L. Sprague de Camp, Fletcher Pratt. I'm going to have to research this fantasy fiction magazine. June 1953, L. Sprague de Camp, Fletcher Pratt, Paul Anderson, Algis Budrys, and others. Philip K. Dick. The original science fiction stories. Let's see, this one's May 1957. It's chewed up pretty good, front and back, and it's certainly written in. Calvin M. Knox, Edmonton, Theodore L. Thomas, and others. Science fiction stories. Paul Anderson, Raymond Z. Gallon, Robert Sheckley, Algis Budrys, and others. Let's see if I can get a date on this one. Copyright 1953. Dream World, August 1957, Volume 1, Number 3. Let's see, Harlan Ellison, Robert Silverberg, and others. Looks like there's some analog here and then some that are new to me. Let's see, analog from 1987. 1973 with an Anne McCaffrey story. And February 1979, Frank Herbert, John Varley. Let me see what the Frank Herbert is. Songs of a Sentient Flute, a novelette. Imagination Science Fiction, 1956, April. Some of these really have small print. Edmund Hamilton, Milton Lesser, Dick Purcell, and others. Coven 13, Witchcraft and Horror, Supernatural, September 1969. Oh, Volume 1, Number 1. I guess, yeah. Richard Flanagan, Joseph Harris, Gene W. Cerrito, and others. I'll have to look that up. Coven 13, November 1969. Harlan Ellison, and some names I'm having trouble reading because of the color and the small print. Coven 13, January 1970. Alan Kalu, Ron Goulart, Robert E. Howard, Dennis Quinn. March 1970. Pronzini, Wallman, E. Chater, B. Saunders, S. M. Clausen. Astounding Science Fiction, November 1956. James H. Schmitz, Randall Garrett, Robert Silverberg, R. Bretner, Isaac Asimov, and others. August 1955. Astounding Science Fiction. Eric Frank Russell, Lester Del Rey, L. Sprague de Camp, Algis Budrys. Show the Isaac Asimov's covers since they're mostly new. newer, and then I'll focus on the older ones. Worlds of Fantasy. Wow. Issue 3. I have issue 2 and recently did a Magazine Monday focusing on issue 2. So now I have 2 of the 4 issues. Oh, well, here's another. It's a duplicate of number 2 that I have. Volume 1, number 1. Sweet. L. Sprague de Camp, Robert E. Howard. Also a report on J.R.R. Tolkien. Cool. Well, that's 3 of the 4. We'll see if I find another one down in here. Fantasy Magazine, first issue, full novel by Robert E. Howard. February 1953. Besides the Howard, it has Paul Anderson, Steve Frazee, Robert Sheckley, and others. There we go. We've got it. A complete collection of Worlds of Fantasy. Didn't even know that. This is issue 4. I believe that's all there are 4 in that magazine series. Clifford D. Simak, Frank S. Robinson, Ruth Berman, and others. That is too cool. I guess I'm becoming somewhat of a completist. I know that's not healthy for the pocketbook, but I am glad to get those. Fantastic Universe, science fiction. H.B. Piper, Fritz Leiber, Civilian Saucer Intelligence, Theodore Pratt, and others. Let me see, did I get a date on that? March 1957. Another magazine I'm not familiar with, Fantastic Universe. Conan the Victorious by L. Sprague de Camp and Bjorn Nyberg. September 1957. Another Fantastic Universe, April. 1956, Stanley Mullen, Alan E. Norse, Sam Carson, and others. Analog. These are a little older, 1966. So I don't think I have this. My collection's more 70s to current. Werner Vinge, Joe Poyer, Ann McCaffrey, Keith Laumer. June 1975, Roger Zelazny, James Gunn, Dr. Irving Mickelson. May 1973, Sword and Scepter by Jerry Pournelle. And 87 with Lois McMaster Bujold, Larry Niven from 83. But I feel like I got a good deal because of these, especially the older ones. And I am definitely happy with my purchase, even though I do have some duplicates from those Asimovs and the newer analogs. I guess I just, if you are interested in picking up magazines like this, I guess I would encourage you to keep an eye on like estatesales.net. That's where I pick these up, and liveauctioneer.com is another place. Of course, eBay. You could even go to your local estate sales, although I'm kind of rural. So not a whole lot of science fiction out in my neck of the woods. But anyway, if you're still with me after this long video, I appreciate you hanging around. Thanks for watching, and stay legendary.